How you guys doing? Awesome. All right. So we will alternate the questions back and forth from what you had received earlier. And as I get myself organized here. And they'll be in random order, just so you know. So we'll mix these up a little bit. But we'll start this time, Joe, since you're on my left, I'll start with you, and then Missy will start the next question with you and rotate back and forth. So Joe, I'll start out with, well, actually, I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. We have a 2-minute period here for each of you to introduce yourselves and share your thoughts about why you're running for Township Trustee. So, Mr. Flanagan, we'll start that process with you. So whenever you're ready.
Sorry. Turn the phone down. Okay, is this on? Can you hear me? Very close. Okay. Joe Flanagan, running for re-election for Butler Township Trustee. Quickly, I didn't just happen into this field, by the way. I don't mean as a trustee, but as in public service. I actually geared myself towards this while I went to college, and also as I got a master's degree. I have a bachelor's degree in urban studies, city planning from Wright State University, and I have a master's degree from Central Michigan University in public administration. I actually began my career soon out of high school. I started out as a code enforcement officer, which is about the lowest you can possibly go into the public service world, and slowly worked my way up through various levels, both in cities and townships. I say that a very minor portion of my work has been done in cities. I would say 95% of my work has been done in townships. So I'm very well versed on how townships run, how they are supposed to operate, and how they're supposed to operate well. I was the first township administrator for Butler Township. I had worked for Harrison Township prior to that as their economic development director. Came up here as their first township administrator, and it was I'll just say somewhat of a challenge to go from what was the standard township form of government to one which was probably more on the basis of a standardly managed form of government, where there was a clear hierarchy of what happened and who reported to who. And that way, there were a clear line of who is responsible for what job and what needs to get done. The reason I'm running now is I want to continue my service to the township. I've done this for a long time. I really enjoy it. We need 10 seconds. Wow, that went fast. Let me just leave it there. I am running at this point to continue my service to the township.
Hi, thanks for coming, everybody. My name's Missy Pruszynski. I'm a Butler Township native, born and raised here. I graduated from Butler High School. I have a BS in Criminal Justice Administration. I currently serve on the Vandalia Butler Board of Education, and over the last 32 years, I have worked in 4 different departments. I've had the pleasure of working in 4 different departments with the city of Vandalia, and so I have gained experience and knowledge in how local government works from the bottom up and the top down. I can tell you that as a trustee, I will not disrespect any trustees or township employees. I will not take credit for the police department that I wanted to outsource. And I will engage the community, and I will engage the township employees so that we together can build a better, stronger township.
Okay, thank you. We will go now into the questions for each of you. And Mr. Flanagan, since you started, we'll start with Ms. Pruszynski here on the questions, and again, rotate those back and forth. Missy, what would you cut from or add to the current budget, and why?
So we currently, all of us in Butler Township know that we have excellent services. So I don't have anything that I would cut or add to the budget, the current budget, but upon taking office, I would do an in-depth evaluation of the budget to see what items or what accounts we could maybe rearrange in order to maintain the level of services that we're providing, or even to improve that level of service.
Very good. Thank you. The same question?
Okay, first of all, Butler Township, our budget is what we call lean. It's not small, it's lean, and it's actually that way on purpose. In 2016, we created the Budget Commission. The Budget Commission is a group of citizens that overlooks the budget, actually prior to it coming to the trustees, where we make the final determination on what that budget will be. But what I would add to the budget is I would like to add 2 additional police officers to the budget. The problem is that costs about $120,000 per officer for a total of almost $250,000. We are building towards the ability to do that. What I'd like to do is create a district which runs from Benchwood Road to 70, from 75 to the other side of Dixie. This would be a corridor that we would have, and we would have 2 officers for that. My God, this goes fast. That is what I would like to do to the budget, is take that budget right now and stretch it out and be able to hire 2 more additional officers.
Thank you very much. So moving on through the questions, and Mr. Flanagan, starting with you this time, and let me read this introduction piece so everybody understands where the question is coming from, and you'll hear similarities in a lot of these questions between our township and city candidates. So the land that is owned by the city of Dayton, it's seen large growth, along with placing emotional strain on the citizens of Vandalia and Butler Township. So with that growing concern over this expansion happening around the airport, what is your opinion concerning this commercial growth, and how do you feel the township is currently handling it?
Let me ask you, are we talking about commercial growth throughout the township or just in that specific location?
Specifically in that area, but if you'd like and have time, you can add more information to that. So
the problem with the growth up around the northern area, it simply is not in our jurisdiction. We have no control over it. We have no ability to tell them what to do with that property. As far as our service delivery for that, if we are called upon to do those services, we would provide them local commercial services. All the other services that are going into that area are going to be provided by the neighboring cities, the county, whatever jurisdiction happens to do that. We would have very little input into what actually happens. This would be like us trying to tell the city of Vandalia how they were going to develop their property. Whether it's Union, the city of Vandalia, or the city of Dayton, we really have very little control over that. And there's simply no way that we can make that happen in the same manner that we would do it had we had it in our jurisdiction. But that's what happens through annexation. They take over the responsibility.
Missy, the same question, and do you need me to read that again?
No, thank you. Okay. So as far as development up north, every jurisdiction has their own role, and the development significantly impacts every jurisdiction as well. So I think it's important to engage the community in that area to get a clearer picture of what's going on in that area. Maybe we need to do some traffic study or revisit our 2006 comprehensive land use plan. Maybe it would be a good idea for all of the elected officials to go to the table and talk to all the communities and to promote what's best for our community in that group. And together we can form something that might work for everyone.
Very good, thank you. So this, Missy, the question now comes back to you, and building on that same introductory question, what is your opinion concerning the infrastructure changes that are needed to handle the facilities that are being built up in that north region, and who should be responsible for them?
Okay, so development and infrastructure they go hand in hand, and it is a regional concern, but the fact remains that each jurisdiction is responsible for the maintenance of their own infrastructure.
Joe, same question.
Yeah, again, I would just repeat, that we have very little infrastructure up there as far as the township goes. Water, sewer, all this sorts of things, other utilities. Those are provided by generally the jurisdictions that have annexed the property into their specific jurisdiction. We would still, on mutual aids and things like that, we would still be running EMS, police, fire as needed up in those areas. But as far as the actual infrastructure that we would be providing, it would be very minimal. And the cost would also be minimal to us.
Very good. Thank you very much. This question, I believe, Joe, will come back to you now. What is your foremost concern or goal, and how do you plan to resolve or accomplish it as it pertains to the township itself? So again, what is your foremost concern within the township and or goal, and how do you plan to resolve or accomplish that?
Ever since I've been involved in local government, my biggest concern has always been local services. That sound like Biden now. Services to the local jurisdictions. I tell people that townships specifically are the ABCs of services. Roads, police, fire, that's what we do. My biggest concern is how do we continue to provide a very high level of service at a reasonable cost without overtaxing our residents. It's a difficult thing to do. It's a real balancing act. And you have one of two ways to do that. You increase taxes or you do economic development. My position has always been economic development, but that has to be done in an orderly controlled growth. And the fact is the township has done a great job of handling that type of growth in the township. We have, again, our industrial is up north, and it really is being taken care of by the cities. Down south, we have a very orderly growth going on. We've actually segregated our commercial areas from our residential areas. It's one of the few communities you can still drive through and almost never get a traffic jam except Friday night on Miller Lane.
All right. Missy, the same question back to you. Would you like me to read that again?
No, thanks.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I have two concerns. The first are quality of life issues that I don't see being addressed around the community. And when I take office, I would immediately address those issues. The second concern I have is what a lot of the community has is we're concerned about the professionalism and ethics of an individual, and we are concerned that the $25,000 that was donated to the last campaign from the Miller Lane developer was then the individual turned around and voted on those items on Miller Lane from the dais. That the professionalism of asking someone to resign beforehand, before he even took office, the professionalism of the F word and profanity, and I don't care what the voter says, and I'm not going to run another term. You know, all of us citizens are concerned about that professionalism and ethics, and I would propose to bring dignity back to the position and gain the respect and trust of the voters. That's how I would resolve it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to read one more of I've got several other questions that have been handed to me, so instead of going through all of the questions that we presented to you, I'm going to read these as well, but let me ask one more question here.
Before you do that, will
Yeah.
I be allowed to answer the question
I'll give you 30
without answering
30
the
seconds.
question?
30
No, I
seconds.
just want, no, I don't need that. I just want to know if I'm permitted then to just ignore the question and answer it any way that I feel
You can have a 30-second response.
No, I don't feel like responding at all.
No, okay. All right. So we have one more question that we'll ask, and are you having difficulty hearing? Is that what I'm hearing? Yes? So if you guys can, make sure you hold the mics up close so you can hear that. The last question from the group that you received, I'll ask this. So the dynamic of the resident within the township is changing. So in your opinion, Is this change good for the township, and how do you see it affecting Butler Township over the next 10 years? And I don't remember, is it Joe? Joe?
I'll go anyway.
Go for it.
Okay, first of all, I have to tell you that I'm sorry, I'll move it up here a little closer. I really don't quite understand the question. At least for me, I don't see the dynamic of the township changing at all. I see us at least since I've been associated with the township, it's 15 years or so, I haven't seen that change whatsoever. The only change that I see in the dynamics or the demographics of the township is we have more of an growing, aging in place population. We'll know more about what's happening with the dynamics and with the demographics after this next census takes place. But again, as I drive around and look around the township, it seems pretty much, I'll just say, stable over the both short and long term.
Missy, same question?
Yes. So change is good. And I think it's important to engage those new residents and welcome them and help them become more active in our community so that they can feel the same sense of pride that we do in order to build a stronger Butler Township community.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, again, I have several questions that have been handed to me. Is there anyone who's brought these up that would like to read them or ask them personally? No? Okay. Well, I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just going to go through here and try to stay on time. So we have roughly 13 minutes to go through this process. And we got 6 questions here maybe. So, Missy, well, I should read this here and see how it applies. Okay, this will apply for both candidates. After speaking with folks in the community and working with different committees, what is the most significant issue you have identified, and how do you feel it can be dealt with? Okay, so let me read that again. After speaking with folks in the community and working with different committees, what is the most significant issue you have identified, and how do you feel it can be dealt with?
So the most significant issue I've heard over and over again is the lack of professionalism and ethics. And the way to deal with that is to bring dignity back to the position and earn the trust and respect back of the voters.
Joe, same question.
One of the biggest points I've heard across the board, and everybody knows our problem child is Miller Lane area. This is the area that was by the previous administration was basically trashed over a long period of time. I don't know anybody that does that to their own commercial area. This is what actually happened to the Salem Mall and why it's no longer there. We are in the process of doing a marketing plan for that whole area over there to turn all of that around, and not just the name only. You know, we're planning on turning that whole area around. Our biggest thing that we have to finish is the area north of Maxton Road along Miller Lane, so that includes the vacant and we'll call it some of the more derelict areas that are up there. But across the board, I hear concerns about Miller Lane. The fact is, though, you have over the past number of years heard a lot less about negative impacts from Miller Lane because we have taken a very aggressive stand on making sure that that is a very stable area. But that's our number one concern right now.
Very good. Do we need a follow-up to that? No? Okay. I don't know who brought that up. So, all right. So this one says to Missy, so I'm going to address you directly on this one. At times, the best interests of the township is in the conflict with the best interest of the city. Since you are a direct report to the city manager, how would you handle these issues?
So thanks for asking that question, because I have had that a lot. First of all, the state has a compatibility book that basically states what positions are compatible, what municipal positions are compatible with elected positions, and my position and the trustee position are compatible. Second, there have been a handful of Vandalia employees who are elected officials in Butler Township and vice versa, and that has never been an issue for them, and it will never be an issue for me, because what I do in the office is 100% transparent. Every meeting I go to, all the minutes I take are all open and open to the public. All they have to do is ask. I'm not privy to any information in executive sessions, and I just merely take records. That's it.
Okay, thank you. It wasn't addressed to you, Joe, but do you want to say anything on that?
Let's just say not at this time.
Okay, very good. This one says to Mr. Flanagan. The question is, and it goes on, so the initial question is here, why are you running again? You stated on more than one occasion at township meetings, while most residents were fighting for our police department, which you wanted to outsource, you said you would not run for re-election. What has changed your mind?
What has changed my mind is two things. The idea of continuing to serve the community. And the second thing, I've had a number of people ask me to run. As far as this whole thing about outsourcing and all this, I'm going to quickly try and clear this up. We were broke. We had 8 police officers serving the township. We had passed a levy in 3 decades. We had to do something. From the idea of going to the sheriff's department, I think woke up the residents to realize just how bad and dangerous it was, not only for the residents of the township, but for the police officers who are working 12-hour shifts, going home and getting 4 hours, and coming back and working another 12-hour shift. The problem is, you never heard what was really going on and just how bad it really was. And why I did that at the time, by the way, I'm not going to run, is because you can't make those stands if you think you're going to run again. The only way you can take a stand like that, it's a tough stand. Let me tell you what, you think it's easy to set up a dais and have an entire room come in and yell at you and do that every week? It's not. But it's the only way to do it, and it was the only way to get over that hurdle, and it was the only way to get us where we are today with 18 officers on our payroll working.
Okay, thank you. Anything, Missy, on that? Nope, okay. This one appears to be a question for both of you, so I think we'll go back, start with Missy, come back to Joe. How would you contrast yourself from your opponent? What are the contrasts between the two of you? So, Missy?
Yeah, so female, male. Let's see, age is different. Our values are different. I think we have different ethics and different ideas of professionalism. I don't agree with tricking people into voting for a levy, like you just mentioned, Joe. Yeah, we have different values and different life experiences that each make us a valuable candidate for the trustee position.
Joe, same question. Well, first of all, let's clear something else up again. I never tricked anybody into voting for a levy. We put it out there what was going to happen, and there were going to be some really serious bad consequences had that levy not taken place. As far as the contracts between us, I have a lifetime of experience dealing with this job. I've enjoyed the job. I enjoy what I do. I'm not here making a career out of this. I'm at the end of my career. I'm doing this because I want to do it. I really don't know anything about Missy. Before she decided to run for office, so I really can't comment on Missy specifically. I can simply say that, the difference between us is I have a lot of experience, I have a lot of education, I have a lot of real on-the-ground experience in running a township, and Missy has none.
Okay. So I have,
Can I say something?
quickly, yes?
So I think one other difference with what Joe said is that he does have a lot of experience running a township, but he doesn't have experience engaging the community to see what they want, what their vision for our community is.
I think you're wrong there, because we developed a strategic plan a number of years ago where we had focus groups and we had a number of people come into the community. Our meetings are all open. Anybody can come in and talk to us at any time. I have a phone number, I have an email, I have everything. If you need to talk to me at any time, I've always been open to the public, and I've always been open to talking to people about any issue or problem that they have.
All right, we're going to try not to get into a debate. Thank you. I appreciate the passion. I appreciate that. And to try and stay on task here and finish up just in the next 3 minutes. So here are the questions. I've got one for each of you and then one for both. So Joe, this one will go to you. Do you find it convenient to use taxpayer money to write your article in Around the Township that mirrors your political piece?
Yes, it's a township newsletter. It's something that has been done over the years. It used to be called Trustee Talk, and we had Clerk's Corner. The fact of the matter is, I wrote the article, but the article was about all three trustees. It wasn't about me. It's what we had accomplished. That's as simple as it is. So yeah, I think it's very appropriate for us to put articles in our own township newsletter. And I would expect Greg Brush, as the new township fiscal officer, will also bring back what's known as the Clerk's Corner, and he will also have articles in there where he will present himself to the people of the township on a kind of one-on-one basis.
We've got to get through these. Sorry, Missy. So this question comes to you, Missy. What specifically are the quality of life issues you referred to as your main goal?
So their image concerns. So when you go to the intersection of Little York and Dixie, you see graffiti. When you are driving up and down our beautiful community, you see all kinds of weeds that look like small trees growing in our gutters. Some of our roads, not the county roads, could use some repaving. They're just housekeeping kind of things. Why aren't we engaging our Northwest people? I don't think that we have Miller Lane under control enough to keep developing there yet. They're just all of those things. If we want to be an upscale community, we need to look and act like one.
Thank you very much. Okay, this question will go to both of you. Right up against it, so we'll try to get this in. There is another question if we have time, but I'm not sure. We'll try to get there. But for both candidates, is it Joe? I apologize, I don't remember where we're at. So Joe, why don't you get us started here? What are the benefits associated with the office of Township Trustee? And with that, what is the annual salary? Will you be eligible for health care? Will you enroll? So that's multi-part question here. So I'm going to read it again. What are the benefits associated with the office of Township Trustee? And then with that, what is the annual salary? Will you be eligible for health care? And will you enroll in that health care? As I read that.
When you say benefits, do you mean benefits specifically as just being like an employee of the township?
That is how I would take that question, yes.
Well, the annual salary is $20,000. Health care is provided to all employees of the township. Other than that, serving the public is the only other benefit I can think of as far as having that position. We don't get any other stipends or anything. I mean, if we go to a conference, I mean, usually the furthest one would be Columbus. We generally drive up, drive back. The township would pay for the conference, but I mean, there's nothing else involved in that. I can't think of any other outside benefits that we receive as far as being a township trustee.
Okay. Missy, same question back to you. It's for both of you. Do you need me to read that again?
Sure.
Okay. So what are the benefits associated with the office of township trustee? What is the annual salary? Will you be eligible for health care? And will you enroll?
I will not enroll in health care. I do not know what the benefits are. I don't know what the annual salary is. The benefits to me were improving the community that I live in, engaging with the community, making it a stronger community, feeling a sense of pride again here in our community. Those are the benefits in my mind.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And I think we can get this in, so I'm going to ask this question. I apologize, Missy, this is not directed to you. Joe, this is directed to you. But since it's here, I'd like to try and ask this question. And it may be a repeat of what we already answered here. So as I'm reading this, you wrote in your political piece, it takes a proven team. Did you have the consent from the other trustees to use their names? So I guess we're talking about the article in the last publication, and then you mentioned it takes a proven team, and they're asking if you had consent from the other trustees to use their names in that.
Well, yeah, I used the phrase "it takes a proven team." Takes a proven team, and the fact of the matter is, no, I didn't ask them. I didn't think I needed to. I was talking about the trustees. It was the same as the article that was in the newsletter. It talked about the three of us, and that's all I was doing, is referring to the three of us are the proven team that currently runs the township. And I can't see, I mean, I could see if it were an endorsement of some sort, certainly I'd had to have asked them to do that, but that's not what it was. It was simply saying, there's the three of us, we are the team.
Okay, very good. So those are the questions I have. I'll just scan the room real quick. Are there any other questions that we could ask in about 30 seconds? Seeing none. Thank you both for your time. Thank you for wanting to serve the township. Best of luck to both of you.